We're almost at that 2-hour mark in the day, too. I swear that's like this is like one section of the day, and then from here to lunchtime, like after lunchtime, is a section, and then between that and power hour is like a dead zone, and then power hour is like another like part of the day. There's like 3 split up parts of the day with like a very, very, very tiny dead zone between like lunch and power hour. But even then, we've seen moves between then. I kind of like to think about the day kind of like that, just split up into 3 parts. Like the first part of the day is the first 2 hours, in my opinion. And then from the first 2 hours to maybe like an hour after lunch, I'd say is like a second part of the day, where I think a majority of people believe is a lower volume part of the day, which is a lot of the time true. But also, it's just, you shouldn't think about it like that. So try to erase everything you know about the market for a second and think about the market like this. So let's say the day is split up into 3 parts. And let's say there's probabilities of certain parts moving more if other parts don't move. So let's say if the first 2 parts of the day don't move, that gives a very high probability that the third part of the day has a lot of, let's say, stored energy. It's not really energy, you know what I mean? It's just volume and movement, momentum, all that crap. Well, let's just save our breath and say stored energy. Okay, so let's say the first 2 parts of the day do absolutely nothing. Excuse me again. They just kind of hold like a, a couple dollars, maybe like $1.50 range. Okay, cool, nothing special. That would give the third part of the day very high probability that a move can occur. I'm not going to say that it will, because we all know damn well it doesn't have to do anything on certain days. Maybe it's waiting to give us that move overnight and give us liquidity grabs so they can do a bigger move that next day. Maybe it's a next day kind of thing. But sometimes, and this is just a good way to think about it, the bigger moves happen in that third part. Now, let's say you jumble all those squares around, okay? Try to think of the 3 parts of the day as like little squares. If you have, let's say, the first part of the day, let's say we just jumped $5 in that day, in the first part of the day. Now, going off of what I said in the beginning, would you have higher or lower probability that the second part of the day has good movement left over, that it has good energy stored up? Would you say it has good probability or bad probability of moving a lot more if the very first part of the day just had a very exciting sized kind of move? $5, $6, big move for SPY. Would you say you have higher probability or lower probability going into that next part of the day, going into that lunchtime? Lower probability, exactly. Just going off of it. It's just simple thinking. I'm not like trying to trick you guys or anything. It's just basics. Lower probability, exactly. I don't know why I said good or bad probability. There's no such thing as that. But that's how you got to think about the day, and you should think about that on every chart. Now, and that's why it's exciting when you see something just kill it that day, and that's why we have these parabolic days sometimes, and they're very rare. But that's why it's very impressive or exciting or just kind of fun to see when you see something rally or dump through multiple parts of the day. So if I see a stock rallying through the first part of the day, and then let's say maybe I take a trade on it, I walk away, I go enjoy lunch or something, and I come back, and I see it still going up in the second part of the day, yes, that's impressive. Because now I know 2/3 of the day it has just been killing it. Or vice versa, falling through the floor for all we know. That's what makes something like that impressive. Not because, oh, it's up 10% on the day, oh, it's up 15%, oh, it's up this much, oh, it's doing this, oh, it broke this barrier, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, it's because of that. And you should think about that like in a sectional way every single day. Every single day, that 3 out of 3 probability BS, those squares, whatever you want to think about in my weird example, that's how you should think about the market. So if we see in the first part of the day, what did we get? We had a lower open, a very big lower open. They retook it within 12 minutes. Within 12 minutes, this gap was filled, and they even pushed over it, and they almost made it to the previous day high. That is very crazy, right? So in a way, for the rest of that slot, right? Now, stick with me here. For the first part of that day, for the first 2 hours, is it very high or low probability? Because again, remember, the first 12 minutes of the day almost did everything it could just to get us back into the fight and put us basically at square one at previous day close. Would you say there's low probability that the rest of that part even has to do anything? In my opinion, it doesn't have to do anything, and a lot of the time you are going to get that consolidation, and during that time, that first little phase or whatever, you're really just looking to see who has control of trend, right? So if I hold a low and then I see a higher low and a higher low, and we're getting closer to that second time slot, then based off of context of what I've seen and how I broke that example down, then we should get better movement going into that second time instead of that first part of the day, because the first 12 minutes basically ruined that. The first 12 minutes did everything it could to make that whole first little time slot for the day basically worthless. So if you weren't part of those first 12 minutes, it was, basically pointless to be trading. Just based off that. That's how you should be thinking about these charts. I don't really know a better way of wording that. I'm sure somebody a lot more intelligent could, reciprocate that a little bit better, but that's how I think about the market. I think about the market each day, individual parts. I think about it split up into 3, and then think about it with probabilities, right? And think about it as simple as that. Did we move a lot? Did we not? And that's it. Of course, your version of a lot and not a lot is going to be different than mine on a different stock. We're all, going to have different opinions on that. But it's just, again, like I said, getting that muscle memory, understanding how much something moves. But I just like to think about it as that. Like, if we move a lot in the first 12 minutes, for the rest of that first time slot, I'm thinking, damn, I really just need to be looking for the rest of this as information getting. I just need to get information. And let's see if I can get something else. Because you would see we just have higher lows, and now we're getting a nice pop here in the second time slot. We're past 10:30. It's now, we're headed towards lunchtime. I say lunchtime because it's only 10:30 for me. But we're not going off my time. It's New York time. It's 11:30 where they are right now. Lunchtime is definitely starting for those people.